Universal Peace Federation webinar series. Today's program is hosted by the International Association for Peace and Economic Development, one of the 8 associations under the UPF and USA umbrella. So my name is Alan Jessen, happy to be moderating today's session. And for the sake of our new guests who may be joining us, UPF was founded in 2005 by the late Reverend Sun Myung Moon and his wife, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, and is a 501c3 NGO with general consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council. We're an international and interreligious network of individuals and organizations representing all sectors of society, from religion, government, civil society, and the private sector, dedicated to achieving world peace on the foundation of mutual prosperity, interdependence, and universally shared values. I'd like to share just a few words about the mission of IAED. And while we can understand, I think, that the primary change that is needed to bring a world of peace is really a change of heart, where we recognize the dignity of each person and that we are all brothers and sisters as one family under God, our Creator. However, still, we believe the business and economic sector have a vital role to play. The business and economic thought leaders are absolutely critical in shaping an economy that can build the environment for peace through mutual prosperity and interdependence. In our monthly programs, we seek to highlight leaders who bring important ideas and are making positive contributions through their work. And I'd like to add that we are building a network of people like our speakers today. And if you know of anyone who would have something to add, you can let myself or Roger Weatherall know. Happy to meet them and interview them. So just a reminder that today's program is recorded, and all of our programs are on the archive and on the us.upf.org website. It's being live streamed. And after today's presentation, we hope to have some good questions from you and the audience. And if you'd put that in the chat function, we'll get it to as many as we can. So today's program falls under our series, Young Entrepreneurs Making a Difference. And we're featuring Shinghi Detlefsen, who will share his business, The Wholesome Story, Changing the World Through Nourishing Families. Shinghi and Junghwa Detlefsen started Wholesome Story as a way to support women in their struggle with hormonal imbalances, infertility, and to allow themselves the freedom and independence to contribute to the causes that they are passionate about. Their story is a great example of how a vision, I believe, a vision to help others can really lead to building a successful company that then provides time and resources for building a strong family while also serving the community. Our respondent after Shinghi is finished will be Paul Stefan, and I will introduce him at that time. So Shinghi Detlefsen is 33 years old. He's the father of 4 living in Las Vegas. And I hear he has an RV and travels a bit to show the country to his kids. Paul is a unificationist, a corporately trained entrepreneur, president of Wholesome Story, and also CEO of Expandify, a customer analytics software firm. He is the founder at The Principal Project, a 501c3 nonprofit which creates content based on universal principles. And his first project and series is on the bigger picture of life with Noah Ross, which I think you can find at the Principal Project website, or also biggerpictureoflife.com. So Shinghi, if you'd share with us your thoughts and your experience and your story. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Alan. Yes, very nice to be here today. Very nice to be able to come here and share the story of Wholesome Story. Let me share my screen so you guys can all see this. Let me know if you can see that or not.
Yep. Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, so it's great to be here. So like Alan said, Shinghi Detlefsen is my name. My wife and I have the blessing of working together. She is the true founder of Wholesome Story. It was all on her initiative. I have only helped her along the way. So I'll state that from the beginning. So Wholesome Story, we are a dietary supplement company. We are based in the United States. We have employees all over the world. We have wonderful partners all over the world and manufacturing in the United States here in Utah. When we started this business, we were really thinking that we wanted to do, honestly, for my wife, she wanted to do something while being a mom. That was her goal. So she wanted to create a business that could allow her to be a mom, to stay at home. Leon was just born. Leon was born in 2016. She started Wholesome Story in 2017. I was working at Amazon, and she felt like she wanted to do something. And Jonathan Jesper, who I believe you've interviewed before, gathered a few folks and said, like, hey, I want to teach you how to start an e-commerce business, how to start an online business. And that was the nexus of Junghwa finding it, getting started. So it's amazing to see how, it's such a simple thought, especially for my wife, where she wants to do something small. She never thought it would be this big, can turn into something this big. So the mission of our company is to change the world through nourishing families. So we support our core customer demographic is it's women, and it's mostly women with PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is the leading cause of infertility in the world. It's a very rewarding space in that our core products, all of our products have clinical studies that support them, but our core products really support those women. And the outcome, of these are babies. We help support a lot of women with hormonal balances, and it's an amazing thing to do that. But the greatest wholesome story for us is to help people have babies. And I recently counted up how many successful pregnancies we've had just through our reviews, and we know at least of 1,000. That's only the people that write a review. There's plenty more that do that. So 6 years since starting, we've touched over 700,000 customers and 1,000 known babies. So it's for me, this business is something very easy to wake up and work on because of these outcomes. And it's just a lot of fun. So I wanted to go just a little bit overview of Wholesome Story. So 6 years, we've been bootstrapped. I like to say we're bootstrapped by our customers. At the end of the day, we're not bootstrapped by ourselves. It's our customers believing in our business. And that's what has led to our growth. We've sold over 2 million units. At this time, I'm at 715. We're almost 750, I think, actually, customers now. We have a great repurchase rate, 40%. We've had over 27,000 five-star reviews. And we get about 22,000 new customers every single month into our business. We've been featured in different articles, and very unique thing about our business is we don't do any paid testimonials or paid socials. So all of the stuff that we have on TikTok or Instagram, whatever, is all actual organic stories from our customers, literally wholesome stories. Our core tenet of our entire business is it wholesome? So it's something I learned from Amazon, is that everything needs tenets, and tenets help you make decisions. And the core tenet of Wholesome Stories is it wholesome? So if there's ever a decision that comes up, whether it's like quality or customer service or whatever it may be, is we ask the question, if we try to answer that question, well, is that answer wholesome, right? If a customer knew what we were doing in this situation, would they consider it wholesome? And that's been our guiding tenet, and it's worked really well. To spotlight, a couple of our reviews, like these are the types of stories that people have from our products. Again, it's always a very rewarding space to be in. That first one's like, after 20 years of trying, it finally happened. So a beautiful space to be in. And we're so happy to be part of all of these stories from our customers. So how did I get here? I'll talk kind of through the story today, and like what I view as my journey to entrepreneurs, and what it's giving me in my life, and how I handle it day to day. I kind of went a traditional path. Before even going to UC Berkeley, in high school, I was in community college. I never took SATs. I'm kind of proud of that. I had a unique high school experience, so didn't really have SATs. But I went to community college for 2 years, and I was able to transfer to Berkeley Haas. Had a great experience there. And from there, also growing up in the Bay Area, it's like my mind was always set, like the goal is Google. Like the goal is to work at a corporate place that feeds you and it has all this fun stuff. I never actually thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so, in college, I got an internship at Hulu, had a wonderful time there. After college, I worked at Google for a year. I did do a startup in between Google and Amazon. That was my first experience doing a startup. It wasn't my startup, it was my friend's startup. And that turned out to be its own unique story that helped me understand what I didn't want to do in the future. And I'm a very um, optimistic, but consistent person, I guess. So like, even going to that startup, when I was at Google, I took an interview from Amazon. Amazon said, "Hey, there's this role. Are you interested in applying for this role?" And my only reason for applying for that role was a free trip to Seattle. So if I interviewed and they like you, they'll fly you up to Seattle. And I had never been to Seattle before, so I was like, okay, I don't want this role. I don't want this job or anything, but I'll take a free trip to Seattle. So even during the interview, I was just relaxed. Oh, it was great. I was answering questions. There was no stress because I didn't want the job. But they offered me the job after that. And I had the job offer in my hand and I had the startup opportunity. And I said, I'm going to go do the startup opportunity. And 3 months later, I said, that's the wrong decision. And I went back to Amazon. I said, can I still have that offer? And they said, yes. So we had moved from the Bay Area to Texas, and then Amazon moved us to Seattle. And it turned out to be the best experience of my life in a corporate job. Amazon is I don't want to say ruthless, but it's a very rewarding and challenging place to work, in that it is not a comforting place like Google. Google's like massages, smoothies, everything's free. Nothing's free at Amazon. You're lucky to get like a kind of a crappy laptop. And but the work was interesting. The work was challenging. It was very rewarding. I remember the first year there, I was like, I am not staying here. This is too hard. I'm going to leave within a year. But it became so addicting in how much I was learning and the opportunities that this company was giving me. Because I started in the retail and I ended up in product management. I did marketing between. It's a company that lets you grow. And there's a lot of learnings from Amazon that I apply to our business, Wholesome Story. But I was able to leave Amazon in 2020 and go work for my wife, Junghwa Wholesome Story. And part of that is because I'm a cautiously optimistic entrepreneur. And what that means, this is kind of the journey. A lot of people are like, how do you leave corporate life to go become an entrepreneur? And this is how I did it. So rule one is you have to work 2 jobs. I would work at Amazon during the day, and then I would come home and support Junghwa with Wholesome Story. And that's just the reality. So I could have made the leap and just cut the cord and say, no, let's do this full time. But to me, that wasn't a good decision for my family because the risk was too high. Rule number 2 is have a backup plan. So I like to call it, I don't know if this is golden parachute, is that the right analogy? But worst case, at that point in my career, I'd worked at Amazon 6 years. I built wonderful relationships. I had a lot of people who liked working with me, and I liked working with them. My worst case, if this company failed, was go back to Amazon. And that's not a bad case. It's really not. So that was my backup plan. Rule number 3, we are an inventory-based business. And if you know anything about businesses and what you sell, being an inventory-based business means that, and if you're growing inventory-based business, all of the money you make goes back to buy more inventory, which then if you continue to grow, all of that money goes back in. So it's a very difficult business to take money out of, which means that how do we get to a point where I can replace our cost of living and not have the business suffer or not have us suffer? So there was math involved there to choose the right amount of time when it made sense, when we could do that. And then lastly is believe in yourself and jump. There's always a sense of risk where you have to take that leap of faith. You have to jump. But if you do so as a cautiously optimistic entrepreneur, I say that's the best way to do it, because you're reducing risk by doing all of those other things before jumping. And then you jump and then you have fun. It's not like my worst case was not we're homeless. My worst case is I go back to a corporate job. Not bad. And I will say, I'm sure many of you have seen the movie with Mel Gibson, Braveheart. Is it Braveheart? Yes. Where he screamed freedom, chasing into the battle. That's how I felt leaving a corporate job. And this is not to bash corporate jobs or anything like that, but what a corporate job is really doing in my mind is they own your mind. They're paying for your mind. It's not a laborious job where you have to go in a factory or you have to, you're picking up trash or whatever it is, all great jobs. But it's a job in which they are paying for the space and time of your mind. And I always equated it to about 80% of my mind, which means that day in, day out, weekends, nighttime, whatever, 80% of my time is consumed with my job and solving problems for Amazon. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. I was paid well. It was great. But that only left 20% of my time to think about my family, doing things for my local church community, doing things beyond my local church community, which basically means I didn't have the space to do that. So that's where jumping into entrepreneurism, I wouldn't say you get more mind freedom because you still have to worry about your company, but now you're able to allocate your mind in a new way that you've never done before. And it's a very powerful thing, which is why I've started another company, the nonprofit, doing things for my local church community, doing things at the big level. I now have the capability and the space to do that. One of the huge pros of entrepreneurs. The next thing I always like to tell people is that, like I showed you the growth chart of Wholesome, and it's always important to remember that like all of these fancy companies or fancy software, whatever it is, they all start from somewhere, and they start usually pretty in a humble way. This is how Wholesome Story started. Our first product was not a supplement. Junghwa had taken a course, and the course kind of leads you actually away from supplements. And it led a lot of the participants into launching these types of products. And this is a home decor product, which is a felt letterboard. So it's a little letterboard where you could put, like welcome home or happy birthday. You can change the letters around. That was our first product. That was our first logo that I made. Does it look great as it is today? No, but this is where we began. This was Junghwa's first foray into entrepreneurism, into online e-commerce, and we learned a lot. But the biggest thing that we learned was that this was not a rewarding space to be in. It wasn't helping people in a way that we wanted to do. It wasn't interesting in what we wanted to do long term. It didn't align with Junghwa's passion for health and fitness and all these other things. And so we evolved and we iterated. And that's what I always would like to advise anyone else who does it. It's always important to evolve and iterate over time, especially with the business. There's things that we're learning literally today in my business that we have to iterate on and learn. So the best business to be in is one that both adds values to others and aligns with your passions. If you can find or create a business that does both of these things, it's a very happy and rewarding place to be in. And it is also a magnet. It draws people to your business. It draws people who want to work with you. It draws people who want to buy from you because of the two overlapping pieces. So this is my advice. If you ever want to start a business, if you can find one that does both, do it. If you can't, don't not do it. Start your business that adds values to others. Focus on that one because people will pay for value. People won't pay for what you're passionate about. It needs to add value to them. That's the core piece. So I like to also talk about the 3 stages of our business, which is no sleep, which means that when it was just an operation of Junghwa and myself, we were running Wholesome Story 24/7. We were responsible for every single piece of that business. And that means we have to do every single job in that business. And part of that was really fun. It's like you're learning more, and I quickly learned the things I like doing, the things I didn't like doing. And my wife and I are complete opposite people. And that turns out to be way more of a blessing that I've discovered in my life than a curse. It can be difficult sometimes, obviously, but it's a tremendous blessing when you're married to somebody and you work with them who are complete opposites of you. My wife is extremely detail-oriented. She is very good at the small things, making sure things are correct. I am much bigger picture. I will push forward. I will come with new ideas. I will change things, and I will grow. And she keeps me accountable. So it's a tremendous thing. It's not always easy working with your spouse, but if you could find a way where you both can appreciate each other and appreciate the pros and cons that we each bring to the table, what I always tell people is that we're complete opposites, but the decisions because we're opposites, the decisions we make are usually right. Because we both need to prove to each other that that's the decision we need to go. And to get two people with two different viewpoints to come in a common place is usually the right place to be. And you can talk about that with world peace or anything, right? It's amazing. So I enjoy that. And lastly, I want to finish off this talk here with my 3 tips for any folks thinking about entrepreneurship or going into entrepreneurship. Number 1, plumbers have great businesses. Build one like theirs. And I say this really in the terms of thinking about a business that generates cash flow. A plumber does a service and they're paid for their service. Many young people today, I am guilty of this. I had this mindset where, growing up in the Bay Area, it's a tech scene, nobody makes any money. You start these startups and software businesses that make zero money until maybe 10 or 15 years down the line. Those types of businesses just are a huge suck. It requires you can't make money because you're growing a huge business, but for an everyday person, the best businesses you can have are ones that generate cash flow, that you can actually take money out of the business, support your life, and continue growing. I also say that in terms of every time you take a person out of your business, you're de-risking yourself from the business. So I've told people many times before that, our company has been attempted to be bought more than once, about 2 or 3 times. And we've said no to all of those acquisitions. And now as we've come a couple of years later, like we've been able to grow our business where we've literally bought ourselves out of the business equivalent to what they were offering us many times. And what that does is now it's on top of having a business, which gives us this mind freedom, which gives us financial freedom too. So again, can we do more with our mind? Can we do more with our money? Very important. Number 2 is understand that a successful business is a blessing and a responsibility. So you are given the keys to something good, to do something good in the world. Never forget about this blessing. This is something I think about a lot. I don't think that it's a coincidence that this business happened, that it's grown. I think that, whether it's karma or blessing or destiny, whatever it may be, never forget out that with great blessing comes great responsibility. So when I see this business, I don't think about it as, oh, this is our money, my money. Like, no, this is something that's been giving us in our life for us to do something great with it. Do I know exactly what that is today? No. Do I treat this business as like, oh, if I sold it today, like, I could do X. And if we sold it later on, we could do Y. I think more about like that. Like, okay, how do we create the greatest amount of ability to do something good for the world? And that's what we're going to do. So that's what I never forget. And then the 3rd tip is that whatever your do something for the world is, bring all of your customers along. This is something that I love doing. And I think I treat this as my golden shield for our business. And it's that every night we pray for our customers. So we pray for their health, their well-being, their ability to get pregnant and to have children, to fulfill the purpose of life, which I correlate so deeply with having a family. And whenever we offer something, whether it's, to our local church or to a nonprofit or whatever, we do so on behalf of our customers, because that's their money that they entrusted us with. And I think of that as when we do that, it's like we're creating this beautiful golden shield around our business. We are benefiting not just ourselves, but our customers, and they can receive the blessing or the karma, or whatever it is you may want about those givings. So those are my 3 tips around kind of running and operating our business. And it's been tremendously beneficial. I believe it in our life and believe it for our customers. And yeah, so that's in a nutshell, Wholesome Story, where we're at today. There's a lot of mini details in there. I will say the last part I forgot to talk about here was 3 stages, no sleep. The eating part's fun, where you grow it. It's big enough you can take money out. And then the have fun part is really when you get it to a place where you are building a team. You are hiring experts. You're coming up with ideas, and you now have the team to go and do those ideas. It becomes a whole new level of business, a whole different ballgame. Each of these stages has different challenges, and it's required that I learn, Junghwa learn, my team learn. I never managed people before when I was at Amazon. I was always a direct report to somebody else. I had to learn how to do that, and I'm learning every day. So, and I also treat this business, my prayer when I was at Amazon was that I prayed that even though it was a tough situation, it was difficult, that God was teaching me something so I can gain the skills and abilities to do something greater. That was my prayer. It's like, I'll take these challenges because I feel like you're teaching me something to do something greater. That's how I treat my business. Again, I'm gaining skills and abilities to do something greater. So my life doesn't end when my business sells. My life just begins. That's how I treat it. And again, I think having that mindset is incredibly powerful. And I'd love for other people to apply that same thought process to their business. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shinghi. That was really interesting, really practical and inspiring at the same time. um, I was thinking of your tips here, that especially that the last couple. You said it's a blessing, so that's a mindset that you have, and responsibility that goes with that. But then bring all your customers along. I've never heard that before. How did you, make that have that realization? Is that something you've ever talked to other business owners or people before with that kind of thought process?
It was actually through, so after high school, I did a gap year program, right? Known as Generation Peace Academy now. And we would fundraise for, different initiatives and different, service projects. And I built that mindset actually when I would fundraise, because I would treat any offering that somebody can give as an offering to go support that. Right. So anytime I've like received money, that's the same mindset that I have, is that if there's an end goal that is greater than just my happiness, that it brings much higher energy, and it draws people to you, I think, too, in the grand scheme of things. So like, I don't want to brag, I was top fundraiser too on GPA and SCF. And that's the reason why. I think it wasn't because of me, but it's this mindset that you're letting people make an offering to something that's greater than both of you. And that has tremendous power.
That's awesome. So, yeah, that one little that experience, you let God teach you something. You learned something there doing that, and you applied it in your business and created this golden shield that blesses you. That's a beautiful, beautiful uh, lesson that we can all learn on that. Absolutely. We'll get back to some more questions with you, Shinghi, but I'd like to bring up Paul Stefan, our second presenter here, to offer some comments and to maybe share some things of his own as well, of course. But let me introduce Paul here. Get to my, sorry about that. So Paul Stefan, he spent 6 years in Africa as a teenager, 8 years in the U.S. Air Force as an Afghan linguist, and the last 10 years working at UPS, I guess that's United Parcel Service. He's currently an accountant and dedicates his free time to helping others achieve financial independence. Due to a combination of frugality, high savings rate, a cooperative stock market, and a little bit of luck, I'm sure, he went from zero to $1 million in just 11 years on an average $60,000 salary. Okay, so our ears are perked up, Paul. He's married, lives in Los Angeles, and runs a Facebook group, YouTube channel, and has a website, dollarbills.com. That's BILZ.com. We can put in the chat there for everybody. Paul is fluent in Spanish and also speaks Pashto, French, German, and Korean to varying degrees of fluency. That is impressive, too. That's beautiful. And by the way, I went to Paul's site, and this is a quote that stood out to me. He says, if you want to be a millionaire, stop spending like one. So, Paul, the floor is yours to share your thoughts.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, thank you for having me on. I think it's very interesting that the most successful entrepreneurs have the most principled approaches to these things, the most selfless approaches. Like I really like I also try to keep my interactions with people wholesome, and it's not, for me, it's not so much about making money as it is about helping other people. I haven't really made that much money off of my financial coaching issues, or not issues, the classes and things like that. But I thought it was very interesting when Shinghi said that. Hold on, let me pull this up. I took a note. Freedom, right? So he sees entrepreneurship as kind of a path to freedom. For me, I am very risk averse. I had a very kind of unstable upbringing. I grew up in Africa. I was kind of poor growing up. And so money to me has always been kind of elusive and precious, right? And when I was growing up, I never knew anything about, how to make money other than working for it, so trading my time for money. But then in my mid-20s, I discovered what is called the FIRE movement, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And that was a light bulb moment for me. I was like, that is what I want. I want to be able to be financially independent. I want to be able to not have to trade my time for money. I want to be able to control my time, do it how I see fit. And it was actually quite a simple formula. You just need to be frugal, save part of your income. And when your investments reach a certain multiple of your annual expenses, you can afford to retire forever. And many, many people that on this path have actually discovered this, and many are in fact retired. But the idea is not necessarily to retire early, but to have the freedom to retire early, right? So when I first started in my late 20s, that was my goal. I was like, I hate work. It sucks. I want to retire. I want to just sit on my porch or sit on my couch, watch TV and do nothing. But then I realized after a time that that's not healthy. Like, it's been shown that people, once they retire, they tend to go downhill. Like their mind degrades, their social circle degrades. And I've discovered that's not what I want. So I plan on working till 75 or 65, whatever, until I can't anymore, But the main key here is being able to retire, having the freedom, having the freedom over my time. That was the main goal right there. And he was talking, Shinghi was also talking about adding value to people. And I completely agree. I think that the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones who solve the biggest problems, who think of the customers, not think of themselves. There's so many people that are selfish. They get into business because they want to make money. And that is the wrong way to go about it. You get into business because you want to improve something, because you want to help people somehow. You want to make society a better place. Those are the most successful entrepreneurs. You'll see when there's no selfishness in the person, when they are a servant leader, when they are there to serve other people, they tend to be the most successful. Now, I personally haven't been able to really transform my what I do for others into something to monetize it. I do have a website, but it costs me money every year. And I do free classes on Zoom, coaching people on personal finance. I also do paid classes for those who want one-on-one coaching sessions. I do that, and I keep it at $50 an hour, which I feel is affordable, even for the poor. So that is my goal, to help as many people as possible. Unlike many other, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a coach, but many people, what they do is they charge, hundreds of thousands or thousands of dollars, assets under management, all that stuff. That is not my goal. My goal is to help people learn, not to manage their money. I want to teach people, as many people as I can, about this stuff. Some people I have to hold their hand, and that's where the coaching sessions come into play, because, my time is valuable. So that's why I charge the nominal amount there. Something that I want to tell people is, when it comes to money, simpler is better. When you overcomplicate it, you tend to make a lot of mistakes. For me, like, I've never wanted to be a business owner. Like, for me, it's too much risk. Like, I feel that even if I'm good at something, I feel there's too many things that I don't think about, too much chance of getting like sued or doing something wrong, so that's why I prefer working a 9 to 5. For me, and for most people, it's not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Only a small portion of the population is cut out to kind of own a business. So for me, and what I recommend to people who don't want to own a business, there is an easier way to make money, to achieve financial independence. And that is by being frugal, by saving as much of your income as you can. For me, when I was in my 20s in the Air Force, the last 4 years, or let me go into that a little bit, right? So I was in the Air Force for 8 years as an Afghan linguist. That's where I learned Pashto that he mentioned, right? And the first 4 years, I came in with some debt, about $5,000 in credit card debt at age 21. And a year later, I got a new car because I totaled mine. So I had a total of about $25,000, and it took me 4 years saving part of my income to pay off that debt. And then in 2010, when I was 25, almost 26, I finally paid it off. But I didn't. What most people do when they, when they pay off their debt is like, okay, I have all this free money I can now spend. For me, I had no support system, so I was like, what can I do with this money to make it last me? What can I do so I don't have to deal with these struggles? And so I continued saving. And actually, the last 4 years of my Air Force career, I saved half of my salary. So it was about $60,000 a year. So I saved $30,000 every single year for the last 4 years. And I got out of the military with about $150,000 at age 29, 30. And then the next few years, I started working for UPS, and I came in at $10 an hour through the warehouse. So I wasn't making very much, but it didn't matter how much I made. Every paycheck, I set something aside before everything else. And you can actually, on my website, dollarbills.com, the bills is spelled BILZ. You can see the latest blog post that I wrote. It talks about, if you want something done, if it's a priority for you, do it first. And that goes with everything. Like, if you want to eat healthy, make sure you eat your vegetables first, right? If you want to get a muscle worked in the gym that usually you don't work, like, for example, the example I give is calves, right? Most people, when they do leg exercise in the gym, it's just squats, and then you're too tired to do anything else, and people's calf muscles suffer, right? So what I did was I would go to the gym and I do calves first, so I get them out of the way. You eat your vegetables first. You save your money first. What most people do is they spend what they need to, and then if there's anything left over at the end of the month, they save, right? But you know how it is. Whatever you have gets spent, right? So that's why you have to save first. And I applied that every single paycheck. Didn't matter what I was making, I saved something, right? So that was very important. It doesn't matter if you make, if you make $1,000 a month or $1 million a month. If you save nothing, it's, it doesn't matter, right? I know doctors that make $30,000 a month, but they spend 31, and I know people that make $2,500 a month and they spend 2,000, so they are actually in a better position than the doctor making, multiple six figures. It's important. So I'm not saying that this is the right way for you. I think there's 1,000 ways to make money. I personally like investing in stocks because it's passive. Many people that I know invest in real estate, but that's not for me because I don't like dealing with people. I don't know if I could trust people. There's just so many variables, but I understand stocks, and that's why I do that. So whatever is your affinity for business, whatever can help the world, however you see that you can make money, find your process and make it repeatable. So if you're into real estate, by all means, make your money that way. I'm not saying you shouldn't. If you're into stocks, like me, do that. Get S&P 500 index fund. Keep it simple. I don't pick stocks. I don't sell. I only buy. I hold. I don't. If somebody yesterday was asking me, hey, what should I do? What do you think is going to happen after the presidential election? I'm like, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Don't worry about that. The market goes up and the market goes down, but it will always go up over time. There hasn't been a single 15-year period in history where the stock market didn't end up positive in the US in the last 200 years, right? So have a clear mind about what it is that you want to do and make sure that you don't hurt other people with your business dealings. Too many people get into it because they're selfish. They want to make money, and you get hit up by scammers all the time promising you riches or a way out of your desperation. So those are the two main drivers of scams. It's desperation and greed. So if something ever pops up that flags one of those two emotions, be very, very cautious. Do it yourself. Don't have somebody else do it for you. You're just paying the middleman for that. Something else that I wanted to mention is that habits are very important. If you want good health, exercise regularly. You want a good diet, eat healthy regularly. You want good finances, save regularly. If you want a good retirement, invest regularly. Every single paycheck, set something aside. You won't even notice it. If you put 1% of your paycheck towards your 401k automatically, you won't even notice it. Start bumping that up 2%, 5%, 10%. Currently, My wife is going to school, and I make less than six figures. I still have not broken six figures, but I have $1 million net worth because I save. I use the little that I have to. I use it well. Another thing, avoid debt. Like some people are into leveraging their profits through debt, but I think it's a double-edged sword. It really is. It's dangerous. It can be a useful tool, but it's dangerous. It's like a knife. It can be useful, but more often than if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to cut yourself. Every single market crash, every single financial crisis happened because of debt. So I would highly recommend you avoid leverage unless you truly know what you're doing. And some people do well with debt. Like if you're a real estate investor, you might do very well with debt, but be very, very careful. So many entrepreneurs are bragging about, using debt, using other people's money. It's not good for you. It's unhealthy. It's like sugar, right? Don't be impatient when it comes to that kind of thing. So just because somebody does something a certain way doesn't mean that it will work for you. Find what works for you. And another, I don't know if I mentioned this already before, but as far as entrepreneurs go, if you do want to get into entrepreneurs, I highly recommend that. I'm not going to do it, but I highly recommend that if you have the affinity for that kind of thing. But make sure you get into it for the right reasons. It's not to make money. But you will make money. That's not primary, right? It's to solve someone's problem. And the bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the payout you will get. So find a problem that people need resolving and, sell them a service or sell them a good that will solve that problem, and you will make money. Yeah, I think that is all I had in here in my notes.
That's great, Paul. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Both you and Shinghi, I want to applaud both of you. Just the attitude is central to help others. That kind of perspective is really a winning and successful perspective. Shinghi, I have a couple questions that have come in for you on a little bit how you built your business. So let me read both of them and you can respond. One is about, did you have to raise any funds and get investments in your business, or has it all been self-funded? And then also a question here from Bento, how did you develop your products? And how did you get scientific approval for your products? So a couple of technical how-to things.
Yeah. So on the first one, we've never taken outside investment for Wholesome Story. So again, the consciously optimistic entrepreneur, my day job paid for Wholesome Story, right? So we were taking the risk of investing. I think all in total was about $50,000 back into Wholesome Story from our savings and from whatnot. And then it comes back into the math, right? So a big part of business math is that a business can generate an ROI unlike any other, right? So the simplest of terms, you buy a product at $5, you sell it at $20, you have 4x your money. So the return that you can make in a business is far greater than the stock market or anywhere else. But there's also risk involved, tremendous amount of risk involved. So the better you get at the unit economics of your business, the less cash you need to enter into it because the business becomes self-funding, right? And it's a exponential growth at some point where you're able to the business has enough cash in the business that the ROI keeps happening and you're able to take money out while the business can keep growing. So that's how we did it. I am very similar with Paul, pretty much anti-debt for the most part. I'll even add one more thing, Paul. Like one of my investment criteria is I do not invest based out of FOMO, the fear of missing out. So that's usually the key sign of like a scam, right? If you're like, oh, dude, you're gonna miss out on this opportunity, like that, and it generates outsized returns than like the S&P 500. Like two key signs: you're feeling like, oh, I'm gonna miss out on this opportunity, and it's such a great investment. Scam every time. So yeah, and that's why. And then we also didn't want to take other people's money into our business, in part because we don't want to do that, right? Like we'd rather just self-fund it ourselves. And the second part, so in the dietary supplement space, what essentially happens is there's a lot of research that's done on ingredients. And the research is done, most of it is public. So anyone can go and search about scientific ingredients and their potencies and the effectiveness of them. And you can generally put together a product. You need to know about the safety of mixing ingredients and all these other things too. And then you find a contract manufacturer who has all the certifications with the FDA, GMP, NSF, and you're able to produce your product through them. So that's what we did. So our first product was our own research. And it was just at the time when our bestseller was getting a lot of clinical research on their ingredients, especially in Europe. And we were able to take that research and apply it in the United States. As we've progressed, we've found that Joe and I are limited. We don't have the educational and scientific knowledge to be able to do that. And thus, we have a full-time dietitian, registered dietitian on our team. We have a full-time chemist on our team. And between the two, we're able to now expand far beyond simple products to more complex formulas and more innovative type products. So I would say that's how most of these supplement companies have evolved, as they start small, simple products, good research, can launch those with good manufacturers, and then you evolve over time, you get better.
Okay, yeah, excellent. Yeah, I was going to ask you that question about the chemist, but because I have a friend who runs a supplement business, and he's a PhD in chemistry. So, but
Yeah.
you hired someone with that expertise.
Yes. Yep.
I have a question here. Just this is dating back a little bit, but 1993, Ken Blanchard wrote this book about raving fans. And he said, just having satisfied customers isn't good enough anymore. If you really want a booming business, you have to create raving fans. So I thought I'd, get your thoughts on that. It seems like you have a lot of, like you say, you don't pay for social, advertisements, but you use the goodwill and good words of your customers. So is that something you've intentionally done, or how did that work out to create raving fans?
Yeah. So again, I think it's the result of the business and its products, right? It's like you can't pay for a raving fan, but you can create a great product and you can give people great experiences. I think those are the two inputs to that. And I think that's where we've done a great job at having that happen. So like I always treat, again, it's like, your business at scale becomes a snowball effect, and there's an immeasurable amount of word of mouth marketing where it's like, hey, I had a good experience. And especially it's unique in our business's case, because if somebody's been trying, for instance, to get pregnant for a decade and they get pregnant, will they tell somebody else about it? Chances are yes, right? And chances are very high that they will. So it becomes a unique experience where it's not like I took a supplement to lose and I lost 3 pounds. It's, oh, we were able to take a supplement and we were able to conceive a baby. Right? And I'm not saying that you will, like there's no 100%, there's no guarantees. Please talk to your doctor before taking any of our supplements. We always recommend that. But I'm saying that the end experience from what we've read about the reviews of our customers can be so impactful in their lives that there becomes a natural momentum to have, quote unquote, raving fans.
Okay. Yeah. And a question just came in about the means of communicating with your customers after the purchase. Because you must have an effective way of getting that feedback, so you can know that your product was successful.
Yeah, and funny enough, most of our customers are on Amazon, and Amazon does not let you communicate with those customers. So we actually have very limited communication with our customers. But the common forum among all of our customers is our Amazon reviews. So in effect, it's like, most people, especially when you're buying supplements, the first place you go to is the reviews of the product. And that is the community discussion, although they can't really, ask each other questions or whatever anymore. But that becomes your forum for the true rating or the true effectiveness of your product. And I would say that's where we've communicated and our customers have communicated with each other the most.
Okay. Paul, just a quick question. When you're coaching others, what would you say is the biggest challenge? Is it breaking old habits, building new ones, or just having the mindset that you can achieve the goal? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the biggest thing is getting people to trust that the process is so much simpler than they think it is. It's literally like I could give somebody um, 5 minutes of advice and have them set their whole life. Just 5 minutes of advice. Just there's only a few things. Literally, all the like 99% of the financial advice you will ever need can fit on an index card. I'm not joking. Like they even made a book of that. You know, um, and it's just getting people over that mindset that it has to be complicated, because it isn't. That's what Wall Street makes it complicated, you know, because they want to make money off of you. They hold your hand and uncomplicated for you, or not even uncomplicated. Like, this is complicated, let me handle, you just pay me for it, right? So the biggest thing is just getting people to break that concept that it's complicated, but also to get them to do things that we all know we should save part of our money. We all know we should invest. We all know we should eat our vegetables. Actually doing it is the hard part. And that is a lot of my time is spent on convincing people to start saving, convincing them that they don't need, 3 subscriptions to Netflix, and it's always like, but I'm like, dude, it's like owning a boat. Like, okay, how about this? Get rid of your boat. When you need it, rent it. And you do this for 2 years, and you'll see that you spend far less money. And that's just a big example, but it's kind of like that. It's just getting people out of their own way.
Good tip.
Yeah,
good tip.
I completely agree with Paul here too. Like my investment portfolio is 3 stocks. It's VTI, which is an index fund. It's Berkshire Hathaway.
Very good.
And it's Vanguard Dividends. That's it.
Yep.
So that's my entire portfolio. And I always advise people, like, don't do anything. Just do that. That's the simplest way to do it.
Young people that start businesses.
Okay.
And then the last piece too, I think with Paul, it's like, the frugality, like it's, I would say we're very frugal, and frugal doesn't need to be cheap. Like, I think there's differences, right? Frugal does not, cheap means you buy crap and you get crap results, right?
Here's a good definition of frugal versus cheap. Frugal only affects you, cheap affects other people.
Right. Like, I love nice dining tables. Like, I want a real wood. I can't stand fake wood dining tables. It's like a pet peeve of mine. But those are very expensive to buy, right? And I'm the type of person that I will like be a hawk on Facebook Marketplace. And literally yesterday, I picked up a room and board, like oak, beautiful dining table that was originally like over $3,000 for like $600. And is it like, is it kind of expensive for a dining table? It is, but it's beautiful and I love it. And I will always be frugal. Like, there's no matter how much money I have, I'm always going to do that because it's the best way to live, and you're going to save more money doing so.
Amen. Shinghi, do you want to talk just a little bit about your other business, Expand-Fi, and why did you get involved with that? Is that part of your passion, or is that just something that you've learned about in utilizing it for growing your main business?
Yeah, so Expand-Fi is a software company that I started with my neighbor back in Seattle. And the reason why we started it was because I'm a kind of a data nerd, and we didn't have the data we needed to run our business. Like, Amazon obfuscates a lot of data, especially around customer analytics and understanding LTV and how promotions are affecting customers. And so we built this software to essentially completely make it transparent and clear and allow you to make better decisions about your business, about customers. So most software is reporting about sales, and sales are nice, but truly to make decisions about operating your business, you need to know what your customers are doing, what they're buying, how often they're buying, how much lifetime value a customer brings. And that's helped us tremendously. So that was that passion for data turning into a business that we just launched like a couple of weeks ago. And then the nonprofit side, the principal project was, again, like, how do I find a way to give back in a meaningful way? And that was a development of that. We just finished the whole series with Noah Ross a couple of weeks ago as well. So that will all be on YouTube shortly. So it's between those two. It's just, passion and fun. And when I have the mind space to do it, I do it. I don't always have it, but when I do, I do it.
Okay, good. And the principal project, are you open to expanding that with other projects? Is that something that people could talk to you about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyone's welcome to email me, Shinghi@theprincipalproject.com is my email there.
Okay.
Or .org, sorry, theprincipalproject.org. Yeah.
Paul says he has a recommended reading list on his website. So, that's a good, rich website. I went there briefly to take a look at it. So thank you, Paul. We're
Real
kind of
quick,
reaching the, go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
I just wanted so my website, right? I have some stuff that I wrote, like stuff that I've written on the homepage. But if you go to the resources tab, I've created some Excel spreadsheets you can use. One is for tracking expenses and income, and one is for it's a retirement planner calculator. Just input this stuff. I think it's pretty well made. And then under that is a whole bunch of books that I recommend you read. I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. That's all I wanted to say. So I encourage you to go check that out. It's all free. So I'm not going to charge you anything unless you want
Good deal.
a personal.
Shinghi, are your products sold outside the U.S. or only in the USA? We have a question from Europe. One of our listeners is from Europe here.
So our products are sold all over the world. You can get them on iherb.com, iherb.com. Europe has some restrictions due to some of our products are patented, so we can't sell all of our products in Europe, but some can be sold there. But pretty much if you're in any other country in the world, it can be sold.
Okay, great. Wow, that's been a very beautiful conversation. I'm sure we've all gained a lot of tips and things. Have two jobs, have a backup plan, and do the math, and know your math. Especially like you mentioned, you have an inventory thing, and believe in yourself. And yeah, I make a similar jump one time in my life, and it scary, but looking back was the best thing to do. So, but you got to find the right time to jump, right? You can jump too early, I suppose.
Yeah, that's where the math helps you determine the time there. So,
okay, fantastic. And you got a lot of help from Jonathan Jesper. Is there still a support system for people who want to get into e-commerce like that they could learn from all of you guys?
Yeah, I'd probably advise people to join Cranes Club. Like, I feel like that's going to be the best kind of channel and avenue to help people connect in different niches and different spaces. So, I mean, e-commerce is one. I think service-based businesses, like where you have to work with your hands, is a great and amazing business to be in. One of my friends yesterday was just telling me, like, if you want to become a millionaire, start a plumbing business or an HVAC business, and then do two things well: answer the phone and show up on time. That's all you need to do, and you will do incredibly well. So yeah, there's plenty of businesses to start. Do I know how to do all of them? No, but definitely would advise, again, people to go and try it. Be smart about it, but go and try it.
My wife would love to hear that. Answer the phone, show up on time.
That's it. Yeah.
Those are great success tips. Any last comment that either one of you would like to, well, final comments from either one of you? Go ahead. Anything? We have some people really appreciating your sharing here, but anything left to say, Shinghi or Paul?
I guess just reiterate, save as much as you can, invest as early as you can, invest it, and keep repeating that. Keep it simple. Don't fall for scams. So if anyone was wondering, anything over, so the market returns about 10% a year. Anything over 15 to 20% guaranteed is going to be a scam. A year, not a month. I've heard people, hey, we'll double your money in 90 days. Not going to happen. It's a scam. Anything over 20%, red flag, not legit. That's it. That's about it.
Yes. Yeah. Literally, there is no easy way to make money. So stick with BTI. It's a good index fund that you can just buy. It's very cheap. That's it.
Okay.
Not financial advice.
And your wife's doing okay, Shinghi? She's I guess she was the inspiration there, right? At the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, so it's definitely, especially now at the stage when we have a team, like we were in Korea for 6 weeks this summer, and then we were in Washington for 4 weeks. So that's 10 weeks that we were very asynchronous with our business. And with the right people and the right team that you can build, you're able to now have the freedom to do more, which is really beautiful. Are we still involved in the day-to-day? Heck yes. Do I think about my business all the time? Heck yes. But am I pushing buttons or like making sure inventory is being sent to Amazon? No. So it allows you to think at a different level, and it's a beautiful new thing to learn with a growing business. So very blessed.
Great, fantastic. Well, congratulations, and yes, it's a blessing and a responsibility. So, and Paul, thank you for your military service. Appreciate that. And with that, we're going to wrap up today, and appreciate those who are in and around the world. You're welcome to pass on this video. Will be on our archive at us.upf.org under IAED. So thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, Shinghi. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks all. Bye.